The Rules of Sociological Method 1895. As part of Durkheim's bid to establish distinct methodology in sociology, the rules included rules of observation. Social facts should be studied as things. Observing social facts as things will help us to view them as definite reality. Rules of classification, structural or morphological facts, institutional social facts, religion, division of labor, rate of suicide, etc., and non-institutional social facts, which are still not accepted by the people but have a potential of exerting constraints on individuals. For example, mob behavior and crowd behavior, these are non-institution social facts. Rules of distinction. While studying social facts, a distinction must be made between normal state and pathological state. Social facts remain in general in a normal state, but sometimes in certain situations they display pathological characteristics. Rules of explanation. In order to explain social facts, Durkheim prescribed certain rules like investigators should observe complete objectivity and use of methods like concomitant variations. So the conceptualization of social reality in form of various social facts was concrete and definite approach to codify the science of society, but this approach had many loopholes. Heidelman said Durkheim was more concerned about making society rather than describing methodology of it. For it, his emphasis was universalistic and general theories don't have much practical significance. Merton, middle range theories were rather more appropriate tools for study of society, and Peter Berger accuses him of doing injustice to the discipline by ignoring individual human behavior in his obsession to objectivity. Further, objectivity is not possible in social observation. Durkheim couldn't explain why the same social facts influence different individuals differently. According to Weber, social facts don't exist as things in their own right, waiting to be gathered like pebbles on a beach. Division of labor. Durkheim was concerned with the maintenance of solidarity and social order in the society in upheaval, background and upheaval of French society. He asked himself, in the modern society where differentiation, heterogeneity and complexity exist, what holds society together? So it was written at a time, attempted an explanation in his Division of Labor and Society as part of his doctoral thesis, first classic of sociology. It was written at a time when there was widespread feeling of moral crisis in France, and Durkheim wanted to find a solution in it in the form of bringing the social order back in shape. While Marx was pessimistic about division of labor, Durkheim was cautiously optimistic. Through his work, he rejected the view of Comte that high division of labor is the cause of disorder in French society. According to Durkheim, since division of labor is a social phenomena, its causes must be social. Division of labor is in definitional terms can be defined as splitting of activities in a number of smaller processes undertaken by different persons or groups. Durkheim considered division of labor as a social phenomena and rejected all classical and neoclassical economic explanations. According to Durkheim, division of labor is a social fact and is a product of autonomous development of society and is sui generis. He developed causal functional analysis in order to prove that it was a social fact. He employed an evolutionary perspective. According to Durkheim, primitive society was segmentary in nature, where people used to live in independent segments. Life was simple. Durkheim used to call this state collective conscience was very strong in such society. Durkheim called the state mechanical solidarity, solidarity due to likeness or sameness, solidarity due to likeness or sameness. Population was also very low, that is, material density was low, and further interaction between segments of population was also low, that is, moral density was also low. Durkheim believed that the cause of transition from mechanical to organic solidarity was dynamic density, which refers to combination of number of people in a society or material density. Was the dynamic density, which refers to combination of number of people in society, or material density and amount of interaction among them. With time, population increased, resulting in increase in material density. This led to increased in chances of interaction, increase in moral density. A situation comes when there is high degree of interaction between the two segments. People from different segments have now access to activities prevailing in other segments. It results in competition or struggle for existing occupations, and the fittest survive in existing occupation. Thus, the problem associated with dynamic density are resolved through differentiation. It initiates a never-ending process of division of labor and emergence of organic solidarity-based society. So, society is now based on heterogeneity of relationships. In modern societies, collective conscience is weak, and hence the binding force is also weak. Supreme value is attached to the individual. Durkheim calls such a society as being based upon organic solidarity. Division of labor is a peaceful solution that creates to the needs created by increase in population in size and density. In the absence of strong collective conscience, division of labor integrates modern societies. So, division of labor is functional for modern society for two reasons, he said. First, for integration of society, and second, for individual autonomy. Social life has become highly complex, and existence of an individual is not possible without an indirect association with the others. So, at a conscious level, an individual may feel independent. At a subconscious level, he may be dependent upon many other people. Durkheim thus states that while an individual becoming autonomous to the comes to depend more heavily on society, division of labor fulfills the dual need of both individual autonomy and integration of society. As discussed earlier, social facts can have normal or abnormal abnormal or pathological forms also. Division of labor also has certain abnormal forms, as it is also a social fact. Study of abnormal states is necessary to get a better understanding of the normal state also. Anomic division of labor. Anomy is a state of normlessness in which people in situation don't follow norms attached to their activities in that particular situation. Durkheim noted, the scale is upset, but a new scale cannot be immediately improvised. It generally happens during transition period, for example, from shift from mechanical solidarity to organic solidarity. When economic pace is too fast and moral regulation is unable to keep pace with the increasing differentiation, it leads to an economic pathological state of division of labor. So, symptoms of anomie are reflected in the high rates of suicide, marital breakup, and industrial conflict as desires become limitless. While Marx provided a radical solution to the problem of alienation, Durkheim said its solution can be found in existing framework of society. Self-interest should be replaced by a code of ethics which encapsulates the needs of society as a whole. Inadequate organization or poorly coordinated division of labor. If work is not organized properly, it creates imbalances and generates conflict. In this abnormal form, the very division of labor is destroyed. Then forced division of labor. For division of labor to generate solidarity, it is not sufficient that each individual has a specialized task, but it is also necessary that task is appropriate for him. A forced division of labor is a result of those structural conditions in which distribution of task is not in correspondence with the distribution of talent or will. Such division of labor is based on inequality of opportunity and, according to Durkheim, fails to produce long-lasting solidarity. So both Durkheim and Marx made very clear distinction between division of labor in simple societies and complex industrial societies. And acknowledged division of labor is inevitable, but Durkheim explained division of labor in industrial societies as a consequence of increased material and moral density, and Marx did not see division of labor as a means of cooperation and coexistence. He viewed as a process forced upon workers in order to let capitalists extract profit. Durkheim considered division of labor as functional and leading to cooperation. Marx sees division of labor as a form of unequal relationship which legitimizes the relationship between the haves and have-nots. Economic division of labor is an abnormal form and, according to Durkheim, can be handled by making workers conscious of their role in society. So, Durkheim gives conception of a socialist state in which division of labor will be kept in a normal state by a large number of occupational associations which will implement the ethical code corresponding to their own occupation. The division of labor theory of Durkheim explains social integration as well as upheavals in society, but it is criticized as top-down theory. Suicide. Durkheim, in his Lily Suicide 1897, defined suicide as the case of death caused directly or indirectly, positive or negative action of the victim himself, which he know will produce the result. Positive actions are those actions taken by individual to end one's life. For example, starvation, consuming poison, and negative actions in the form of inaction which causes death, for example, starvation or remaining inside a burning house. For the purpose of theory building, he took data from police records from various regions of Europe at different time periods. With the help of this data, he established that suicide is a social phenomena and not an individual or merely psychological phenomena. Firstly, he proved that suicide cannot be explained through psychological, geographical, climatic, hereditary factors. He explained sociological causes of suicide by correlating suicide rates with various social factors. He proved with the help of statistical data that certain rate of suicide is normal in society. After analyzing data from different places, races, etc., Durkheim concluded that factors like race, heredity, and climate do not lead to credible explanations. For example, if temperature were the cause, then warmer conditions countries, or for matter colder countries, were expected to have a differential rate of suicide. So he therefore explored causes of suicide in other social causes using statistical techniques and found concomitant relation between suicide rate and different social variables related to people who committed suicide. Different social variables were marital status, locality, rural, urban, developed or underdeveloped, religious orientation, Protestant or Catholic, Jews, Christians, and sex, male or female. He undertook multivariate analysis. He concluded that males have greater suicidal tendencies, rate of suicide is found more among bachelors, and underdeveloped countries have less rate of suicide than developed regions. Protestants have higher suicide rates, and Durkheim reasoned that since Protestant religion gives its members more freedom of interpretation of religion and free inquiry, they are less integrated into church than Catholics. So, so Durkheim offered various explanations where suicide rates are higher. Durkheim concluded that suicide is a social phenomena. According to him, though individuals may have some psychological predisposition, but it is impact of suicidogenic impulses which lead to actual suicide. Forces of integration. Various degrees of these forces are associated with two types of suicide: altruistic suicide. It results from over-integration of an individual with society. It's a characteristic of traditional societies with a high degree of mechanical solidarity. Deaths caused by sati in India, death of soldiers in war, and death of Japanese kamikaze pilots can be taken as an act of altruistic suicide according to Durkheimian framework. Terrorist attack of 9/11 also classifies in this category. Egoistic suicide. Suicide is a result of lower integration of individuals within the society. Social bonds are feeble and individuals feel alienated. Examples include resulting from failure, success, and depression. Forces of regulation. It implies that control of individuals by the society. There can be two types of suicide by regulation due to over-regulation and under-regulation. Over-regulation is when social regulation disappears, then it is anomic suicide, and when there is over-regulation, it is fatalistic suicide. Anomie is the result of sudden changes leading to situations of desperation or dejection. As a result, social regulation over individual disappears. So, and anomic suicide is further classified into acute anomic when there is sporadic decrease in ability of traditional institutions to regulate, and chronic anomic when there is abolition of social regulation. Fatalistic suicide. According to Durkheim, persons with futures pitilessly blocked and passions violently choked by oppressive disciplines are more likely to commit such suicides. Religion and society. Like his other theoretical propositions, Durkheim's theory of religion was also a result of his concerns for social order and integration in society. He came up with functional explanation for existence of religion and observed its existence as a social fact and not a supernatural phenomena. Durkheim dwelled upon religion in his Elementary Forms of Religious Life, 1912, and he defined religion as a unified system of beliefs and practices related to sacred things. Unified system of beliefs and practices related to sacred things, that is to say, things are set apart and forbidden beliefs and practices which unite them into a single moral community for all those who adhere to them. Durkheim's concept of religion is based on his systematic view of society. According to him, society consists of two parts, sacred and profane. According to him, the process of dividing the world into sacred and profane started with the totems. The sacred are the things which are set apart and forbidden. Sacred refers to all things which are connected to supernatural or divine. A relationship of distance and fear is maintained with respect to these things. Durkheim gave a causal explanation of religion by method of indirect experiments. According to him, modern religion is full of complex and full of variations, so establishing a causal linkage is difficult. But at the same time, simple forms of religion also exist, and if such cause of simpler forms is established, the same will apply to modern religions also. With this premise, Durkheim conducted an indirect experiment on one of the simplest forms of religion, totemism, in which totems are worshipped. Durkheim argued that totem is nothing but a representation of a clan itself. In his indirect study of Arunta aboriginals, he concluded that primitive men were wanderers and they kept on moving from one place to another. Occasionally, when they came together for some purposes and interacted, they felt different. This feeling got disappeared when once they separated. So, Durkheim called this feeling a state of exaltation or collective effervescence, a heightened feeling of energy generated in collective gatherings. This feeling takes individuals away from concerns of profane social life to an elevated sphere in which they feel they are in contact with higher forces. These higher forces are deemed as divine or supernatural and are attributed by certain totems by primitive types. Ac- According to Durkheim, there is nothing particular about totems. Totem is a symbol of collectivity or symbol of society itself as it represents those social forces which are felt by individuals at the social gatherings. Durkheim states, if it is at once a symbol of God and society, it is not because God and society are one and the same. According to Durkheim, in the form of religion, we actually worship society, and religion is an example of self creation and autonomous development of society. So, according to Durkheim, it is easier for man to visualize and direct his feelings of awe towards a symbol rather than towards a complex metaphysical thing. So, Durkheimian logic also explains idol worship in many Hindu religions like Hinduism. Social obligations are represented in sacred terms and hence transformed into religious duties. Marriage becomes a sacrament, work becomes a symbol of pleasing gods, and death becomes a battle. A death in a battle becomes gateway to heaven. Weber focused on meanings that individuals generate. Durkheim exteriority of social facts, which he regarded as things. Society is sui generis, individuals are actors in society. Weber studied the major features of great religion, and Durkheim studied religion in its most elementary forms. He saw religion as a force behind new ways of thinking. Protestant ethic led to rise of capitalism. Buddhism in India opposed caste system and so on. Durkheim emphasized role of religion as a collective phenomena which serves to strengthen social bonds. Sorry. Weber did not hesitate to use the idea of gods and spirits, Weber, unlike Durkheim, attached great importance to prophets in propagating religious beliefs. And Durkheim denied that religion is concerned with the mysterious gods and spirits. He called religion a society itself. So his theory of religion is significant because it demonstrates that any subject can be approached from a sociological perspective. He demystified the subject of religion and encouraged its empirical and rational study. But despite its pioneering line of thinking, his theory of religion is criticized for being an armchair theory by the likes of Malinowski, as he didn't visit the Arunta tribe even once. Scholars argue that it is not religion but secularism which is binding all societies together in a modern industrialized societies, and his ideas are applicable only to simpler societies. So, contribution of Durkheim in the establishment of sociology as a formal discipline was a landmark one. He gave the much needed subject matter to the nascent discipline of sociology, and his concept of sociology, religion, suicide, and enemy are used in interdisciplinary studies. Uniqueness of his approach lies in his belief towards establishing social order in society. His concepts like division of labor are used in understanding even global division of labor. Through his idea of division of labor and society, his overemphasis on the functional character of social institutions and phenomena also attracted criticism and alternative perspectives.